If you can't decide between an SUV or a performance car, well, now you don't have to. Because with the brand new Hyundai Kona N, you can have your cake and eat it too. Let me show you how. The award-winning Kona small SUV is the fourth model to be preened and polished by the South Korean car maker's N Performance division, which has injected much more power and performance than any garden variety Kona has ever offered. The Kona N joins the pint-size i20N hot hatch, the pioneering i30N, and the recently launched i30N sedan. Like all of those N cars, the Kona N brings a sportier exterior, upgraded interior, track-ready chassis upgrades, and in this case, the same muscular 206 kilowatt turbo petrol engine that powers the i30N. The N Performance team has really beefed up what's usually a pretty sedate compact SUV. The revised grille is black, and now so is the Hyundai badge, and there's also a new matte gold paint option for the first time on any N model. Or you can get this popular performance blue. Elsewhere, the Kona N brings a sporty body kit with aerodynamic side skirts, big red brake calipers, larger 19-inch alloys, and a race-inspired triangular brake light. Compared to the regular Kona, the N sits 10mm closer to the ground, and the front and rear wheel tracks have increased, giving it a lower stance and broader footprint. As mentioned earlier, the Kona N gets its muscle from the same turbocharged 2-litre 4-cylinder engine as the i30N, punching out impressive outputs that make it a unique offering in its class. Hyundai's new 8-speed dual-clutch automatic is the only option for the Kona N, so if a proper manual gearbox is on your checklist, you'd better stick with the hatchback. It's clear that most of Hyundai's energy went into the performance side of things because the cabin is, well, a little underwhelming if you go for the entry-level Kona N. But no matter which one you choose, you get a really solid driving position and this decked-out steering wheel with huge N buttons. But for $50K, you're still getting lots of hard plastics around the cabin, and these seats, while they're pretty good, could use a little bit more side bolstering to hold you in. If it was our money, we'd spend the extra $3,000 to get the plush Alcantara-clad seats with heating and ventilation. Overall, though, you'll probably forgive the bland cabin once you're on the move. It's all pretty easy to navigate in here, and if you're familiar with the i30N, you'll have no problems finding your way around the multimedia touchscreen, which is where you can toggle through hundreds of N settings to find the perfect combination. The digital instrument cluster and infotainment screens both measure up at a sizable 10.25 inches, and every Kona N gets Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, digital radio, and navigation with live traffic updates. Then of course there are the N-specific features. N Grin Shift, N Power Shift, Creep Start, which is essentially a cooler name for auto hold, and even a track mapping system, which is so far only set up for Sydney Motorsport Park, but will include more tracks later on. You don't have to compromise on safety either, because every Kona N is fitted with the full gamut of driver assistance aids, and also adds the brand's rear occupant alert and safe exit warning systems. Oh, sorry, I thought no one cared about the back seat, but now that you're here, I'll just let you know that you can fit 2 adults pretty comfortably. There's a centre armrest, USB port, outboard child ISOFIX points, but no air vents. Oh, and the boot will carry a decent 361 litres of gear, or a set of grippier tyres for those track days. Righto, now that we've got the formalities out of the way, let's get to what you really came here for. Well, as a first attempt at a truly hot SUV, the Kona N really hits the mark. It's fast, loud, and ready to be thrown around just about any corner. There's so much power to utilise in this front-wheel drive SUV, and it's just, even at 100 kilometres an hour, put your foot down and it just goes. Hyundai says it takes 5.5 seconds to hit 100 k's with launch control engaged, serving up surprising thrust under acceleration, although don't expect it to slam heads into head restraints. Steering is sharp and direct, if not a little heavy underhand. Meanwhile, beefy 360mm brake discs up front offer plenty of stopping confidence, even on track where there's minimal brake fade after several laps around Wakefield Park. Those Pirellis will give up long before the stoppers do. There's still small amounts of torque steer and even a little axle tramp when you take off from a standstill. But it's a front-wheel drive car with lots of power to put down, so it does a pretty good job considering. And given it's higher and slightly heavier than the i30N, it's just as happy to be whipped around corners. Even its bigger body is composed with similar amounts of body roll and grip compared to its hatchback sibling. But it's really only on smooth tarmac like the racetrack that the Kona N feels unstoppable. Get it out onto real Aussie roads where there's potholes and imperfections at every corner, and the Kona's firm ride could make you question its everyday livability. Admittedly, it's a compromise I'd personally be willing to make because when the Kona N is good, it's great. But even though it's a stiff ride, there's relatively minimal noise inside the cabin. Those Pirelli P0 tyres are pretty quiet, and road noise in general is still pretty good even on coarse chip surfaces. You probably won't get close to Hyundai's combined fuel consumption claim of 9 litres per 100 kilometres, especially when you're driving at the limit. For reference, our tester averaged between 13 and 14 litres after a morning of spirited driving on track and playing around with its collection of quirky features. One of those being N Grin Shift, which temporarily boosts peak power to 213 kilowatts for 20-second increments. It sounds great in theory, but the theatrics, pops and crackles that come with it are probably more of a placebo effect than anything. But it's still a cool feature to have. Overall, the Kona's playful nature is a lot of fun to tame. It's not quite the family hauler anyone needs, but it'll be the one plenty want. Does it make sense? Not really. But will you love it all the same? Almost certainly. The Kona N comes backed by Hyundai's 5-year unlimited kilometre warranty, which also covers non-competition track use as with other N models. Look, if you want a blisteringly fast, small SUV, there are other options out there, like the Mercedes-AMG GLA 45. But for less than half the price, the Kona N delivers unrivaled bang for your buck fun. And we reckon you'll have a ball.